Peace to the gods, peace to the gods. Yusef here. How's everybody doing today? Now, I was wondering how I was going to start out my dialogue today. And thankfully, somebody in the chat room has assisted me in that endeavor. A neophyte, if you don't know what a neophyte is an individual who is new to a particular subject. They think they know, but they don't know, and they're not wise enough to be quiet and to listen to wise counsel or somebody who knows more than they know. I'm going to start out by reading what he said. He said, Allah did not have to tell through a book conveyed by man that women are supposed to rule. Now, this sounds like, I don't know if this is a woman or a man, but is that Allah showed you by nature, neteru, and biology, everything is her. That's why you refer to everything as her or mother. We don't refer to everything as her or mother because God is a he. See, this type of thinking right here is the product of feminist trash, which is what I'm here, what Allah has sent me to destroy. Now, Allah is the masculine and Allat is the feminine. If you've ever studied the Quran, you would know that there is a female deity called Allat before the Prophet Muhammad came and established the oneness of Allah. Okay, the Tawheed. All right, so also this person, More Healing, has stated that you have the 42 laws of Ma'at hanging in most of your videos, and then saw me supposed to say men are supposed to rule. Now, this is some additional ignorance of an individual who hasn't even studied who Ma'at is, ISIS, or anything like that. Ma'at is a daughter. And I'm going to read you. Ma'at is the product of creation, like she is in all religious texts throughout the world. Just because I have the 42 laws of Ma'at hanging on my wall does not mean that I worship Ma'at in any kind of capacity. As it says in the esoteric schools, if you want, in order to conquer nature, you must obey her. The creator of the boundless universe established natural laws, and she's referred to as a she because she receives things, like anything feminine, receives things from a masculine source. Everything feminine receives something from a masculine source. The conscious mind is masculine. The subconscious is feminine. The subconscious receives instructions from the conscious mind. All right, the positive pole on a battery is masculine. The negative pole on the battery is feminine. It receives ions from the positive pole of the battery. All right, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, she receives seeds. All right, Mother Nature receives thoughts from us. All right, it's called an active and passive principle, and only the debased, profane, and ignorant, abject ignorant, try to associate it with penises and vaginas. You are a neophyte and you need to shut up. These are some of these things you can verify by fucking going to goddamn Wikipedia and finding out. Oh, but I forgot. You don't think you need to read a book. This is another thing they like to say because they know when you refer to the books, it cannot support what their statements are. And I've read almost all of I didn't read every esoteric text, but I studied many different religions and they're uniform in certain things. And that is that Mother Nature is a creation. She's a creation. Mother Nature was created. She didn't always exist. She came out of the primordial ooze, out of chaos, like everything else. Even in your Bible, which she's referred to as wisdom, she's referred to as the first of all God's creations. As a matter of fact, let's read this real quick before I get into my dialogue. Because you think because I got the 42 laws of Ma'at hanging on my wall that I worship nature. I got the 42 laws of Ma'at hanging on my wall because I'm a student of esoteric sciences. And I understand that you make nature bend to your will as a God. Gods don't worship. I call myself a God and gods don't worship. The fuck is wrong with you? Gods don't worship. We are that which is worshiped. We're the masters of everything around us. You better get a clue. Oh, you got the laws of my aunt behind you. I got the laws of my aunt behind us because I'm a student and I understand I understand the purpose that they serve, and you don't. You don't have a clue. Let's read this real quick. What is this? Remind me in 3 days, man. What are you doing, man? Just put it on my computer. Yeah, I wore my gold chains today because I want to be on some God shit. I usually don't like to come on with such an ostentatious display, but unfortunately, people don't think you have any value or that you don't, if you can't demonstrate that you have wealth and some kind of, and I understand that because you should be able to manifest things. So yeah, I have more than this. This is not even all I have. I haven't bought another piece of jewelry in about the last 2 years. I've had jewelry for a long time. It doesn't move me anymore like it used to. But people want to see it, so that is what it is. But let's get into the subject of hand. The subject at hand. Let's go. Let's look at this thing. Let's look at the creation of nature and wisdom, because wisdom is nature, Mother Nature, and this is something else that's really funny. She wasn't called Mother Nature in antiquity. They associated all the forces of nature with real people, real beings that existed. They embodied into this. And so, you didn't have this thinking that we have today. The reason I have to talk about this today, I seen this lady, she came on, and it's feminist stuff, and you could tell she must be an agent sent by the Zionists and everything. She calling herself a prophet. No, she called herself a pastor. And that's why I posted right there on the face cover, the thumbnail for this, 1 Corinthians from Paul. I'm not even really a big follower of Paul, but they like to call themselves pastors, these females, and it tells them right there in the book, keep quiet in the church. You don't have no business calling yourself a pastor, a preacher, or anything. That position, if you are a follower of Christianity and Islam, was not allocated, and in Judaism, it was not allocated to you. You don't have any. You don't have any female sheikhs. All right. You don't have any in the synagogues any female rabbis or anything like this. You don't have that. All right, you don't have that because the masculine directs the feminine. And I know that this might piss some women off. I really don't care because my job is here to speak the truth. And another thing is, you don't have any empirical evidence to support your stance on women ruling because you ain't never ruled nothing. Men made the world, we rule the world, and we will continue to rule the world. And I think it's about time for men to stand up and put this nonsense to rest that these feminists are trying to say. All right. You don't get in the bedroom and screw us. We screw you. We impregnate you. You don't impregnate us. Okay? So these things have to be said. And you say it unapologetically because they are insulting men unapologetically. So we got to get on the air and start kicking back unapologetically with intelligence and support our stance. We're not going to sit on a couch in front of everybody and talk based off our feelings. And I want to talk about that in a little bit too. I want to talk about that. And hopefully y'all are sharing this. Get your likes up. Get your likes up. Where I like 67 likes? Nah. Let's get it to 100 likes real quick. We got 183 people on. Let's get it up to 100 likes. Let's get it to 100 likes. I'm going to talk about some secure party stuff too. She said, are you sui generis? Are you a biological reality or are you identifying as a literary artwork? If one understands the Old Testament, when the true and living God formed Adam and Eve, they were as gods. Yeah, that is Genesis 3:22. It says, look, the man has become as one of us. All right. But, they don't like the Bible. You got to understand that when you're dealing with a feminist, you're dealing with an atheist. Okay, feminists are not followers of any of mainstream religions. They go off feelings and what they think, what comes off the top of their head. They haven't been guided by anyone. They don't think they need to be guided, even though you see the abject stupidity that's going on in the world today. People that can't even understand what male and female is. The reason that the creator of the balanced universe sent a mati, which means guide, okay, is to guide you, all right, and sent books, okay, for you to read as a guide for you. Okay, because as it says in the Bible, the road leading into destruction is wide and spacious, and many are the ones going through it, and the road leading into everlasting life is narrow and cramped, and few are the one finding it. All right, so we're going to try to see if we can traverse the Sarato Mustaqim, all right, the path of the straight and narrow today, and see if I can give you some of my wisdom that I've accumulated over the last 30 years of studying this particular subject, which it is my favorite subject, and also being able to demonstrate some things by manifesting things in my life as well. The object of the game is to demonstrate whether or not you can do something like manifest something. If you can't manifest anything, you shouldn't even be talking. You can make excuses saying that money is not, money is this and money is that, but that's just an excuse. It's not about money. Money is just a medium of exchange. Note I said medium, which means it serves as a conduit for things. It's not really necessary. We started off in the barter stage. If we were bartering, a lot of you still would be broke. If we didn't even have any money, you still would be broke, because it requires action on your part. If we were bartering, you'd have to go out and plant a garden. You'd have to grow something or build something or work with your hands in some kind of capacity. And many of you aren't capable of doing that or refuse to do. That's Psalms 82:6. 82:6, it says, I have said that you are gods and all of you are sons and daughters of the Most High, but you shall die like men. This is not talking about these mortals on here. See, these are mortals on here. I'm talking to the gods right now. The mortals want to worship something. Mortal men, who we call beta males, want to grovel at the feet of a woman because they worship pussy. And that's why they don't ever get any pussy. That's why they worship it. They can't get any pussy because they grovel to the pussy. That's not attractive to a woman. A woman is not attractive to a beta male simp mangina that's kissing her ass all the time. All right, you're going to have a brittle dick for the rest of your life if you keep on up with that simping. You got to get rid of this simping, okay? And pandering to females. You got to get rid of that. You got to stop that. You got to start learning what it means to be a man. That's not manly at all. That's not manly at all. And it's just sad that we live in a world today where for me to say something like this, I got to be called a misogynist, which means hatred of women, by the way. Have you ever noticed that most of these women who use the term misogynist don't even know what the word means? They misandrous, that's what they are. And have you noticed, and this is another thing that's really interesting. I'm going to say this too before I get into this. They use this word she. She denotes that there's a he, because there's two sides to everything in creation. The creator of the balanced universe is beyond he and she. He and she are creations. The creator of the balanced universe is unknowable and undefinable. You have attempted in your vanity to describe God or make God in your image and after your likeness. But if an extraterrestrial was to come here and their civilization had been in existence for millions of years before you came into creation and they didn't have any male or female species, how would you explain that? But you don't believe that, do you? You don't believe that there's life on other planets. That's another thing that you have to say. So you don't think deeply enough about this subject. You think on the surface level of things. And then you don't even study the things that's on the surface level. Because if you had studied, you would have never said, I got a picture of my aunt behind like I'm worshiping her. My aunt is a daughter. Do you understand that? I don't see you commenting now. Because you know you look foolish. Let's go real quick. And it's sad I have to do this, but the thing about it is this. I really want to talk about business and the things that I teach, and I'm getting ready to have the seminar in Dallas, Texas is going to be on the 1st and 2nd of July. I need to be promoting that actively. Once again, it's $3.99 if you're married. That pays for you and your wife. If you have additional partner you want to bring, it's $189. But it's going. You can go to SPC University and register there. It's going to take you to Currency Circulator. Everybody who's registering for this event is going to automatically be placed in Currency Circulator. All right, because I'm putting together a trust, and it's an investment trust, and I'm going to hammer out the details for it, and we're going to go over the details of it. But I want us to invest and start investing in real estate and start building things. We're going to start putting this trust information to work. We're going to start putting this trust information to work. I'm not playing with it. I'm going to go ahead and put it to work. Thank you for Oliver Jones. Love your energy. Off topic a little bit, but my background is theater. I teach theater, and I would like to start my own theater company as a 501c for it. But what would be my faith? Diane, I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to say right there. But thank you for the chat. Appreciate the likes. Thank you for getting the likes up. All right. I'm going to try to open your eyes and help y'all to see things in a different way. Help you to see things in a different way. All right, we're going to go to the book of Proverbs 8. Beautiful, beautiful verse in the Bible, Proverbs 8. Or is it 22 through Proverbs 8? Yes, Proverbs. I think it's the whole chapter of Proverbs 8. Yeah, the reason that feminists don't like religion because they don't have any support for their feminist views in any of the mainstream religions. So none of them subscribe to religion. You'll never see a feminist talk about God and frame it in a Christian, Muslim, or Judaism type context. Really any context, not Buddhism or anything like that. I have not anything like that because they basically at heart, they hate that. They hate men. And they can't find any confirmation for their views in any of the mainstream religions. So you need to take note of it, especially like a lot of them, they want to be lesbians. There's definitely no support for that in any of the mainstream religions for being a lesbian or homosexual. So that's why a lot of these people are, they're atheists or agnostic or something like that. All right. So let's look at chapter 8. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. Yeah, there it is on the screen. I want y'all to pay attention to this. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. I want you to pay attention to how wisdom is referred. You have to be perceptive enough to understand. Obviously, everything in creation had to be laid down wisely. You can look at everything in nature, which is referred to as a she, and see that it's been put together intelligently. But see, the neophyte, just because they see that with the things they can see, they instantly ascribe the characteristics of Mother Nature as God herself. As God. She is a goddess in the Egyptian pantheon, but she's not the creator of the boundless universe. That's what a lot of these people don't seem to understand. They seem to think that a god and a goddess equates to the creator. A god and a goddess does not equate to the creator. A god and a goddess does not equate to the creator. Any type of reference or label as a he or a she cannot in any wise be equated to the creator. If anything, the creator embodies both masculine and feminine principles because those two principles came out of the creator. That's why we have a father God and mother nature. I noticed that we refer to everything as she. We don't refer to everything as she. Most of the time we refer to everything as he. That goes for you women too. Y'all keep referring to God as he. So what are you talking about? But let's look at this real quick. In the Bible, they refer to Mother Nature as wisdom. And I want you to read this and I want you to see this with your own eyes. She's constantly referred to as a she, but look what she says about herself. Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice? She standeth in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the past. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing forward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. And in this the truth. There is so much lack of people seeking knowledge, especially the people who refuse to read. We live in an age, these people refuse to, they are actually saying that you can't find wisdom in a book. You don't need to read a book. We have the Library of Alexandria, the greatest minds ever to walk the planet. These people ain't created nothing. They can't conjure up a worm out of the ground, can't even build a house to live in or grow some food to eat, but they're going to sit here and tell you, you don't need to read a book to gain wisdom. These sound like demons. This is what demons talk like. There's a lot of demons on the internet. A lot. The internet allowed them to flourish because now they can put up a damn, come into the chat room, don't have to put up no picture or nothing. You can click on their picture and see that they formed their account in 2014, have no followers, ain't posted nothing on their YouTube page, but they talking trash and stupidity and ignorance behind fake profiles. We got to put to rest this disrespect of man and masculinity. Let me get back. Let me start back at 9 again. It says, they are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the forward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mind and sound wisdom. I am understanding. I have strength. By me kings reign and princes decree justice. By me princes rule and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. I love them that love me, and those that seek me early find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness in the midst of the paths of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and I will fill their treasures. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. You're going to find this in all, I don't care what schoolers taught you. You can go to the Egyptians, the Sumerians, oldest religions on planet Earth. You're going to find that Mother Nature was created. Let me look at this. Where is the more at? You're going to find this in everything. You should, before you speak, you should reserve your comments and study to show yourself approved. Because sometimes you can make statements, I don't even have to go to a book and look it up. Because here's the thing. The reason I'm always talking about the Kabbalion is because in any subject you have a discussion in, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's relationship advice. I don't care if it's secure party. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's raising your children. I don't care if it's having sex. All right? There are principles. There are principles that underlie any and all activity that you can possibly think of and engage in. The reason for that is because one of the fundamental principles of nature is cause and effect. For every cause, there's an effect. For every effect, there's a cause. All right? That is why the universe has order. There are 7 pillars. Let's go to Proverbs. And the reason I use the Bible, because the Proverbs came from the Egyptians. There was an Egyptian who wrote it. And people, the Christians, just seized this book, not understanding that when these books wrote, like Abraham came out of Ur of Chaldea, which is modern day Iraq, but it's Sumer or Mesopotamia, which means the land between the 2 rivers of Pishon and Gishon, the land between the 2 rivers that's being spoken of in the book of Genesis. All right. The oldest language on the planet is cuneiform, which is in Samaria. Okay. If you know that when they had the Iraqi war, if y'all get on the internet and do a research, you'll see that the U.S. soldiers raided hundreds of ancient artifacts over there. That was one of the reasons they were in Iraq. Y'all probably don't know that because they didn't put it on the news at all, but you can find that on the internet if you look and see right now. Okay? So, there has to be an underlying principle behind any discussion. That's why I'm looking at this woman on YouTube that they trying to blow her up, and she's just ignorant. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm listening to this woman. She trying to put no accountability on women. Everything is the fault of men. She just seemed like she's got some type of trauma or something like that. Just a man hater. Got on a damn baseball cap and a sweatsuit. You know, looking like a man. This is the thing that I don't understand is about feminists. They hate men, but you walk around looking like a damn man all the time. You're dressed like a man. You talk like a man. You don't do anything ladylike or feminine whatsoever. And then you will call yourself a boss or a queen. You don't look like no damn queen. Like a thug. Appreciate that, BMG Trust 3. So let's look at this real quick. All right, this is one of the reasons why I use the Kabbalion. Well, it's not the reason I use the Kabbalion, but people will look for something to substantiate. Well, why do you use the Kabbalion? Okay, let's see how wise you are with this. All right. This is Proverbs 9:1. I want you to open your eyes. I want you to open your eyes, gentlemen. Open your eyes. Look what your third eye, it says, wisdom hath builded her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. What is a pillar? A pillar is everything that holds everything up. So wisdom of Mother Nature is based off of 7 pillars. Now, there have been many different authorities that have attempted to try to interpret this. But of course, I went back to the ancients and to the Kabbalion, and it's the 7 principles of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. These 7 principles underlie everything in creation. Everything that Mother Nature is composed of those 7 principles. All right? So, if you want to have an intelligent discussion, you can't deny this. Scientists have already proved that everything in creation is vibrating. Everything. The reason it's called an illusion because it's in a constant state of flux. Because the only thing that can have permanence or reality is something that does not change. The only thing that does not change is the creator of the boundless universe. God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That's what the Christians say. God doesn't ever change. Or, as I would like to call him, the creator or the source of all creation that we call the all, it doesn't ever change. Everything that emanates from source is constantly changing. All right? So the only thing that's something that is real is something that doesn't change. The closer you get to God is the closer you get to reality. The closer you get to power. There is no power on the physical. All power is in the spiritual. Correspondence is as above, so below. As above is referring to the three planes, which is the spirit, the mental, spiritual, and physical planes, which all shade into each other. They're not three distinct planes because vibration is the principle, vibratory frequencies, so they shade into each other. We're just really talking about three different rates of speed, like solid, liquid, and gas, like an ice cube. Ice water goes through all the three states, a solid, liquid, and gas. All right? To manifest something, you need to understand these three states. You need to understand that when you have a thought, it's in the gaseous state, then it goes to the water state, the spirit, you baptize it, and then it comes into the physical state, which is the ice. It hardens itself. It manifests on the physical plane. The physical plane is the slowest vibration. That's why they say when you are in your lower self, it's a slow vibration. You're eating dead food and dead meat and things like that. You're vibrating at a very slow rate of speed. To commune with God, you have to be vibrating at a high rate of speed. And this is for the men out there, and we're going to get into some discussion about sexual transmutation, because this lady was talking about how men use women as a muse for sexual transmutation, and she was quoting, allegedly, something out of Think and Grow Rich from chapter 10, and I've read that book 1,000 times. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's not what is being discussed. And this type of thing is what I got to stop, because they are sitting here trying to elevate this woman as if she's some kind of intellectual. All because she say men hate themselves. It's men's fault. Men are abusing women. Men are the reason that women are butt naked on the internet right now. It's men's fault. Men run the music industry. She ain't gonna say Jewish men, because Jewish men are the ones that run the music industry, not us. They're the ones putting that music out. I don't know if she don't know that or not. But wisdom is referred to as a she. This is how they refer to Mother Nature. Mother Nature built, this is like my aunt behind me, all right? Wisdom, okay? You got to seek first wisdom. In the seeking of wisdom, what you are in essence doing is you're learning how creation is structured. You're learning how creation is structured. And this is what gives you right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding, all right? Because in order to make good decisions, you have to have good information. Good information cannot be based off something that is as tenuous as somebody's opinion. As a matter of fact, there's something very beautiful that was stated, that if you want to lead somebody to heaven, keep your opinions to yourself. You need to keep your opinions to yourself if you're going to lead somebody to nirvana. All right? Keep your opinions to yourself. I know you've had experiences in life, but they're your experiences. That in no way qualifies you as a teacher of men or of women, just because you had some experiences and you had an observation about something. Everything in life is scientific. When you start studying the esoteric, you're in essence becoming a science. The word science comes from the word scienta, which means to know. The word scienter means to know. You either know or you don't know. You either know or you don't know. You're either all right or you're not right at all. Ain't no in between. Ain't no gray area. I like how Yoda said it in The Return of the Jedi. He said, I'll try. He said, no try. You either do or don't do. There is no try. There's no such thing as try. You either do or don't do. You either know or don't know. That's called polarity. That's why in the Bible it says, those who are lukewarm, those who ride the fence, I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. Because ain't no riding the fence. There's good and evil. There's positive and negative. There are two sides to everything. There's hot, there's cold. There's up, there's down. There's hard, there's soft. There's night, there's day. That's one of the principles, polarity. I want to give you this to my young men who are watching right now. I want you to watch this. There have been many people who have tried to interpret this. And the reason that they can't interpret it properly because they don't know the spiritual principles. They don't know principles. This is why these people, they're trying to give advice on something, but it's not rooted in anything stable. It doesn't set on a firm foundation. All discussions must derive from a firm foundation, whether it's about marriage, raising children, having sex, employment, the duties of a woman, the duties of a man, what constitutes a man, what constitutes a woman. Everything is based off of a principle, an immutable principle. I had a lady on YouTube, in my Instagram, she's arguing back and forth with me, wanting me to identify what immutable principles are, and even had the audacity, the ignorance to say there's no such thing as an immutable principle. When gravity, you're looking at gravity, I could just say gravity. Gravity doesn't care about your opinion. Gravity is not a respecter of persons. It's something that can be objectively observed, and it works the same way every damn time. It doesn't care about your opinion at all. What you think, your beliefs in God, you hate men, none of that shit don't matter, okay? Take your ass on the top of that building and jump off. And say, I believe I can fly, and jump off the building and see whether or not your belief was accurate. Nature will show you. Another thing that is an immutable principle is diet. Diet in no way. There's food that belongs in your body. There's food that doesn't belong in your body. And the body is going to let you know. It doesn't care what you think about it. It doesn't care if you think pork is okay to eat. It doesn't care if you think, I can drink all this alcohol or smoke all this weed or sniff all this coke and I'm going to be all right. It doesn't care. There's a cause and effect. And if you don't know the effect, that is called ignorance. Talk about principles here. Thank you, Daniel Cardenas. Appreciate that. So let's look at this real quick. Then I want to read something after this. It says, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. I want y'all to think about that verse. And the Bible is very beautiful. It's not a Christian book. It's not a religious book at all. It's like a history book. It's like guys writing down, these are very wise guys in antiquity. And, you can find the same thing when you read Zen, or the Tao, or just a lot of different religions that you can go in and you're going to find the same thing. The reason I'm preferencing my next thing that I'm about to talk about with this verse is because I want you to ponder it. I'm going to talk about chapter 10 of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is transmutation of sexual energy. We got to get into some of these discussions because I want you to think about this for a second. Your discharge of debt. You wanting to live private in your freedom. All of this is predicated on your ability, first of all, to have independent thought. That's number one. And number two, to be able to manifest things. You have to live the life you want. You got to be able to think independently, and you have to be able to manifest things. You have to understand the science of manifestation, this thing that they call the law of attraction, or manifesting things into existence. All right, there are laws. That's why they call it the law of attraction. A law is something that does not bend. A law is something that does not change. It works the same way all the time. If it didn't work the same way all the time, you would not have natural order. You would have chaos. Order is based off of immutable principles, and this is why in Proverbs 9:1, it says, wisdom, Mother Nature, has built her house, all of creation, on 7 pillars. A pillar is something that holds something up. All of creation rests on 7 pillars. Why are you having a discussion? Why are you trying to teach people about relationships and you don't know this? I'm talking to everybody on the internet right now. It's stupidity. This is why we have chaos. This is why we have heathens. Let me tell you something. I've studied this, and let me tell you something. The only person that can be, and I just saw Andrew Tate say this in a different way, and it was beautiful. I said, man, it's amazing how when you walk the same path, you come to the same conclusions, and you've seen the same road signs. The only kind of people that they can put in slavery are people who are godless. Because the Creator creates the boundaries. The Creator sets the parameters for your conduct and activity. And without that, you are do what thy wilt, which is a satanic, that's their thing, do what thy wilt. Read the Thelema, get the book of Satan. That's their philosophy. You should be able to do whatever you want to do. And that is the philosophy the Christians have adopted. They can do whatever they want to do, and Jesus, they've soaked in the blood of Jesus, and they're going to be forgiven for all they say. All my sins and already be paid for. I can cheat on my husband. I can cheat on my wife. I can eat whatever kind of food I want to. I can steal something. I can murder somebody. That's what you're saying? What kind of religion is that? I don't want no part of that religion. I want any part of that religion. That's going to lead to the fall of civilization, which we have a front row seat scene happening right now. All right? So give not that strength unto women, nor that ways to that which destroyeth kings. Give not thy strength. What is this talking about? Is this talking about don't mess with women? Is this talking about don't get into arguments with women? See, this is the interesting thing. If people would understand that strength is a lot of times used in the Bible associated with sperm. And of course, we all know that as soon as you bust a nut, you lose all your strength. You become weakened every time. What man can argue with that? A woman wouldn't know. A woman need to shut their mouth. They don't even need to talk. Need to get into this discussion, right? You're not a man. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Any man knows once you have an orgasm, you lose your strength. You lose testosterone. Anybody who lift weights knows that. You lose your spirit. You lose a portion of your spirit. But if you preserve that, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when you start preserving that. Because who's the only one you can give your sperm to? You're supposed to give it to a woman. It don't say give not thy strength to men. Don't say nothing like that for all you people identifying as things. Think and Grow Rich. One of the books that almost every person who's wealthy suggests that you read. Almost every person that's wealthy suggests that you read this book. Think and Grow Rich is actually a condensed version of the 16 laws of success. Notice he said 16 laws of success. 16 laws. Everything is a law, all right? Not based off of your opinion. It ain't based off of how you feel, all right? That seems to be the thing, too, a lot with this feminist thing, and they say that you don't have emotional intelligence because they operate off of their feelings, which is why you can't rule the world. Which is why you can't rule the world, because you operate off your feelings. Feelings can't rule the world. You feeling one day, like this one day, and then another day the next. Feelings are whimsical. They change like the wind. So let's look at this. Think and Grow Rich. It's in chapter 10 is what we're looking for. And I'm going to read this. We got to, because we need some fundamentals. This is fundamental. This is stuff I studied when I was 20 years old. That's why I couldn't believe I said, this lady is tripping, man. She's just sitting here misleading people. Ain't read nothing. Ain't read nothing. And if she did read it, they ain't got no comprehension of what she reading. That's another thing y'all got to start looking. Y'all got to start looking at the comprehension of these people. These people, a lot of these people don't have good comprehension. All right, so right here. Oh, shoot. I just knocked that off the screen. God dang it. I mean, they really try and blow this chick up too. I'm looking at the women. I'm like, man, they trying to blow this stupidity up. This is like stupid. I mean, I just had it on the screen, y'all. I'm sorry. Just give me a second. I'm pull it back up. All right, so let me pull it back up real quick. I think I can get there faster like this right here. Yeah, this is much faster. All right. All right. Here it is right here. All right, back. All right, so let's read this. Let's see. I ought to play the audio so y'all can see what I was talking about because this is like ridiculous. All right, share this video. This is chapter 10, The Mystery of Sex Transmutation, the 10th step to riches. I think that this is a very important chapter because when we go back to what we just read about give not thy strength to women, okay, I want men to understand this, that like this is the steps to riches because it is incumbent upon men to go out and be providers and protectors. If you want to shut down what these women are doing, you'll go out and make the best of yourself. You'll go out and become successful, okay, in your endeavor. You'll stop sitting in front of porn masturbating. You'll stop playing Xbox video games all day. You'll start writing down your goals. You should have a list of 100 things you want to do in your life. And you should break them down to what I'm going to do in 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, and 1 year. Write down 100 things you want to do. Start mapping out your life of what you want to do and start living your dreams. Have an affirmation that you say every morning and stop devoting so much time and attention to these females. Stop giving your strength to these women and start utilizing this. This transmutation is talking to men. All right? So let's look at it real quick. The mystery of sex transmutation. The meaning of the word transmute is, in simple language, the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. Now, this is the principle of polarity, okay? There are two sides to everything. So the alchemy is a result of understanding the principle of polarity. Everything in alchemy, it has an association with it, though. And for instance, you can't turn hate into gold, okay? You can't, it has to be an association. So when they say lead and gold, turn lead into gold, that means lead and gold have some sort of relationship that you can change it from one state to the next. This is what I was telling you. You have to understand the principle of polarity to understand alchemy. You have to understand the principle of polarity in order to understand alchemy. You have to understand the principle of polarity to change your character as well. because all the defects in your character have a corresponding associated polarity associated with it. So, like for instance, if you're impatient, okay, the corresponding polar opposite of that is patience. If you are fearful, the polar opposite of that is courage. So you make a list of all of the defects in your character and then write down the corresponding polar opposite to that, and then draft you an affirmation that you say every morning to change, to create what is called mental alchemy, to change that from one state to the next. And this is done through repetition. Okay, I'm hoping everybody's understanding what I'm saying. So I'm going to identify the principles that are being discussed when we read these books. I'm going to start pointing them out to you to show you that those 7 principles are contained in everything that you read, any conversation that you engage in, the law books that we read, secured party creditor, whatever, discharging debt, I don't care, whatever it is that you do. All of these principles are contained in everything that you do. That's why they're called universal. So let's look at this. The meaning of the word transmute is, in simple language, the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. Polarity. The emotion of sex, energy in motion, emotion of sex, brings into being a state of mind. Okay, your mind begins to polarize on one particular thing. And this is where you begin to, this is the seat or the root of manifestation. Whatever you think about all the time, you create. So the emotion of sex brings in a state of mind. Because of ignorance on this subject, which we see being espoused all over the internet currently right now, in particular, these females that are coming on these talk shows and the men that are putting them on there who don't know, they don't know anything themselves, and they in a hurry to worship a woman and grovel at the feet of a woman. Once again, gods don't worship. Because of ignorance on the subject, this state of mind is generally associated only with the physical side of human nature. The physical, remember there's a mental, spiritual, and physical. Once again, they're universal principles. All these principles apply on the mental plane, the spiritual plane, and the physical plane. They're universal principles. So out of ignorance, you just associate them with one plane. You think sex is only having to do with something of physical. There's a mental sex, a spiritual sex, and a physical sex. And because of the improper influences to which most people have been subjected in acquiring their knowledge about sex, this emphasis on the purely physical aspects of sex has created strong and often destructive biases in most people's minds. It does. And you see that in the gender wars right now. Everybody who's involved in a gender war, they're neophytes. They're mortals. These just mortals. They have no spiritual knowledge on anything. They're just basically talking about things that they've experienced themselves, and the things that they experienced themselves, they didn't have any guidance in deciphering what they're saying. And now they're going out appealing to people's emotions because they're upset with something. Women are upset with men, so all they do is have a female come on in front of everybody, start talking negatively about men, and all of a sudden she's wise. Or vice versa, a man do the same thing. This is stupidity. This is ignorance at its finest. The emotion of sex has back of it the possibility of 3 constructive potentialities, and they are, number 1, the perpetuation of the human race. We all know that you can use sex, have sex, and you can create another human being. Number 2, the maintenance of sound physical and emotional health. Yes, you will find that the longer you retain your semen, you become stronger physically and emotionally. And number 3, the transformation of mediocrity into genius through transmutation. It's an interesting thing. Charles Runnels has a book. I'm going to give y'all this book. I'm going to throw y'all a bone right now. All you men, this is for the men. This is for the men. Any time you want, as long as you want. Dr. Charles Runnels, .pdf. Let me see if it pops up. Anytime you want, right here. It's on Scribd, so you can download it. Let's see if I can download it. I have to sign in. I don't know if it's gonna let me. I do all this. Anyway, here's the book right here. Anytime you want, as long as you want. Integrative Sex Transmutation, a 15-day course for men to improve sex life. Now, this particular book, I have this book. I paid, I think, almost $100 for mine, but I think they got it on Amazon. They have it on Amazon. How much they selling it for on Amazon? It's only on Kindle. I must have got the last copy. All right. But that's what the book looks like right there. Anytime, as long as you want, whenever you want. Now, there is a PDF version on SPC University. If you go in and look in the PDF section, I did put the PDF on SPC University. And I'm trying to see if they have one right here, but they don't. But you can see it's on Scribd. You can get it. But anyway, in that particular book, what Dr. Charles Ronalds found when I read this book is that he talked about chapter 10 of Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill. He also talked about As a Man Thinketh. All right. He talked about Benjamin Franklin, Leonardo da Vinci, a lot of geniuses in history, people who have made major contributions to the world. And there was a thing that there was a common denominator in all of them, and all of them practice preserving their sperm. I have done this myself. Some of the days when I get in front of y'all and I haven't had sex in a long time, information just flows from my mind. If I get on a pool table and shoot pool, I can run the table. If I play a chess game, I see moves 5, 6, 7 moves ahead. All of this is in the proper, I'm going to use the word proper, transmutation, because we all know that it travels down from the brain, down the spinal column, into the scrotum, and when it's not used, it travels back up into the brain. Okay, and it can be used to create things other than other living beings. It is a creative force. It is an elixir of life. This is why the masculine has been given the role of protecting and providing, because we provide, not the feminine. That's a principle of nature, and that's why I can say it with authority. Because it doesn't matter what you think. You're never going to defeat nature. That is the definition of insanity. Only a fool ducks when the truth is thrown at them. Let's get back to Napoleon Hill's chapter 10. Sex transmutation, which is involved in third constructive potentiality, is simple and easily explained. It means the switching of one's mind or dominating mental forces from thoughts and consequent actions of a mere physical expression to thoughts and consequent actions of another nature. It does not mean in any sense celibacy or repression of natural instincts. And this is also what Dr. Charles Reynolds was talking about. That's why the book is called Anytime You Want, As Long As You Want. Because what the book also discusses is that once you start practicing this sexual transmutation and this preserving your sperm, you're going to find out you can have sex as long as you want. You can have sex 5 times a night. Have sex as long as you want. Practice it. It takes time. When you're young, it's more difficult. As you get older, it gets easier. And you're young, it's hard to, you feel that, that's when you, and a woman, and you feel that swelling up in you, that need to orgasm, that's when you got to start thinking of how practicing the control. Stop your stroke, set for a while. Start gauging when at the beginning, when you first feel it starting to come. Stop what you're doing. There is a Steve Jobs who created Apple. He had a discussion with his wife, and he told his wife he was going to become a billionaire, and they had to stop having sex for a while and do things like that. You're going to find these men, when you read these autobiographies of these men, they all did the same thing. Benjamin Franklin, all the inventors in ancient times who you call genius, and you're wondering why they was a genius. They weren't a genius because they were naturally born a genius. They were a genius because they understood how to manipulate their spirit. You can do the same thing. There's nobody better or greater than you. It's only people more disciplined than you. But you have the same potential. Let's get back. It does not mean in any sense celibacy or repression of natural instincts. You can't repress the sexual urge forever anyway. It's going to find an outlet. You just have to direct it to other outlets. It does not mean approaching sex and engaging in sexual conduct from a completely positive, completely constructive, balanced, It does mean approaching sex and engaging in sexual conduct from a completely positive, completely constructive, balanced, and appropriate state of awareness. See, that's the first key to any type of a change. You got to be aware of things. You have to be aware that the creator, the balanced universe is speaking to you and how he communicates with you. He might communicate with you through a meme, through signs and symbols and things of that nature. You have to learn to see the signs. You have to learn when you're getting directed. I could be thinking about something and having a problem, and then a meme will come up on Instagram or something, and it will be talking about exactly what. Everything on the internet is not evil. Anything can be used for good. It's just a tool. It's the people who operate it who are the ones who are agreeable and disagreeable. Positivity. Sexual desire is the most powerful of human desires. Its exercise in proper relation and proportion to all other aspects of life is positive and healthy. People who are driven by this desire in a positive, constructive sense can channel it to develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability that are all but unknown at other times. So strong and impelling is the desire for sexual contact that some people freely run the risk of life and reputation to indulge in it. When harnessed and redirected constructively, this motivating force maintains all of its attributes of keenness of imagination, courage, and so forth, which may be used as powerful creative forces in literature, art, or in any other profession, calling, or undertaking, including, of course, the accumulation of riches. Now, I want to stop right here. This is the reason I believe that pornography is so rampant on the internet, and you need to go and see the nationality of the people who own the porn industry. Adolf Hitler was discussing it in Germany. Germany is a Christian country. Britain was a Christian country, and France were Christian countries, and they went to war with each other. All right. One of the problems that Adolf Hitler had was the introduction of LGBTQ, all right, lesbianism, gayism in the media, in movie houses, okay? All of that. You go and research, go and do your research. Don't just believe what I'm saying. You really should watch the video, Hitler, the Greatest Story Never Told, or you can listen to the audio, which I believe is still on YouTube. It's by a Jewish man. This man is Jewish. He's Jewish. His name is Benjamin. Notice the name, because their names are always biblical names. You always see they have Michael, Benjamin, John, Peter. They all have a name that's out the Bible. His name is Benjamin Friedman. Fried, F-R-E-E-D-M-A-N. He did a speech in 1961 discussing what happened in World War I and World War II and the reasons for it. Told the whole world in the Waldorf Hotel, Wilshire Hotel, or something like that. You'll see it on the internet. If not, you can go to my BitChute. I have it on my BitChute. Link to my BitChute is in the description, but you would be wise to go and listen to those audios. You have to listen to those audios because you need to understand history so you can understand what's happening now. History is simply repeating itself, and you'll see the pattern. If you listen to this man, you're going to say, damn, this is all the stuff that's happening today. And then that's going to make you start looking at the people who are greenlighting everything that's going on. Who is the person who greenlighted Black Lives Matter? Who's the person that's greenlighting LGBTQ? Who is the person that's greenlighting tearing down your borders to let foreigners in? Who is the person that's greenlighting sending all y'all money over to Ukraine? Who is the president of Ukraine? What is his nationality? Why aren't you asking these questions? Okay, I'm finna kick Blue Acid out because he's sitting there asking a question about the SSN. So I'm gonna kick you out because you ain't got the sense enough to see that you don't come you don't come on my program and see me talking about a subject and start talking about something else. I kick your ass out to the moon. I have zero tolerance for it. We're talking about something that's more important than using your SSN. See, that's a demon right there. That's demon activity. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about, can I use the SSN? You're a damn fool. You think this is about the SSN? Y'all are foolish. I'm trying to empower you. This fool want to come on here and start talking about, can I use the SSN? Man, whatever I give you, whatever information I give you about discharging it, it ain't going to work for you because you are disrespectful to the Creator. Ain't nothing going to work for you. Nothing. I can show you the roadmap to discharging houses and cars, and you won't discharge a single fucking thing. Because if the Creator of the balanced universe don't want you to, you won't get it. Okay, I'm going to put Robert out. Let me put Robert out. Let's read it. I'm going to show you why I'm putting him out. These are beta males. Why waste so much energy bashing women? Look, man, let me tell you something. I'm not bashing women. I'm standing up for masculinity. And if you were a real man, you would understand that if you see what's going on the internet. We're at war. This is the product of communists, socialists, and Marxists. This feminist, this LGBTQ, and all of this stuff. You don't see where the world is heading right now? And you're asking me, and you're sitting here, you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall, the abject stupidity to sit here and think I'm bashing women and I'm talking about natural laws? Let me kick you out. Kick you out too. Kick you out. Move you out. Kick you out. Anybody else want to say we're going to come with some beta male activity, feminist ideology, come out talking about I'm bashing women, I'm a misogynist, or something. I'm not bashing women. I'm sitting here talking about the transmutation of, I'm talking about male energy. I'm sitting here talking about men, how to be protectors and providers, so the women will respect you. And that right there will naturally quash all that stuff that the women is doing. I don't have to bash women. All I have to do is make men be men and show them how to be great. Because women can't survive without men. No matter what they think. I ain't going, you can't come on my channel with that beta male simp mangina philosophy, that misogynist, which is it's a misandrist, that type of shaming to get me to be quiet because I'm being directed to talk from the Creator of the boundless universe. I'm here to speak. I don't give a fuck if you don't like it or not. Get off my channel and go somewhere else. Let's get back to this right here. Talking about why bash women. Named Robert. Why bash women? Man, you sound like a simp. Stop simping. What's wrong with you men? You see what's going on in the world today. It's an attack on masculinity. What are you going to do? What are you doing to stand up for masculinity? So let's get back to this. This right here is key. And what I'm giving you is a jewel beyond all jewels today. The things that I'm talking about today is what I guide my life by. Okay? You got to be a man. You got to produce as a man. You have to produce. Produce. If you're just eating, sleeping, and reproducing, having sex and having babies, then you're no better than an animal. Because dogs do that. Dogs eat, sleep, and reproduce. Monkeys eat, sleep, and reproduce. Cows eat, sleep, and reproduce. You're no better than the lowest animal species. You're at the level of a beast. So let's look into this and see, can we find some guidelines to help us start to structure ourselves and start to think constructively, because everything is rooted in thought. And somebody asked me why I'm bashing women. You don't want me to use the Bible because Bible bash women like crazy. I go to 1 million verses in the Bible with warnings about women, and I don't never do that. I don't ever do that, but I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it today. Since you said that, since you brought up the Bible talking about bashing women, I'm going to do it today. We're going to pull out some verses in the Bible. All right? So strong and impelling is the desire for sexual contact that some, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I read that already. Shoot, what happened to it? All right, so let's get right here. The transmutation of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower. Willpower is in the conscious mind is the seat of willpower, which is masculine. It's the active principle. Strength, the will, is in the consciousness, the seat where you make decisions, where you decide what thoughts to allow to enter your subconscious mind. You don't let nobody fuck your mind. You're the only person supposed to be fucking your mind. You don't let nobody else fuck your mind. That's why the consciousness is the guardian at the gate. It is the seat of the will. It is the seat of decision. You decide what you will allow into your subconscious and what you will block from your subconscious. This is called psychic self-defense. There are people right now who are attacking your conscious mind. All right? You're under attack. And that's what it is. They think building up, that's exactly right. Building up men is bashing women. That's why we have to speak unapologetically. You can't fuck their feelings. This is what you have to literally be in that state of mind. You can't worry about how they feel about nothing, because they try to shame you into a subservient type of position. So you got to this is where you have to stay focused on your goals, focused on your things, your contributions you're going to make to the world. And any woman that's not contributing or being a helpmate in that endeavor, she doesn't serve any purpose in your life whatsoever. You need to get rid of her. You need to get rid of all women who do not, in some kind of way, give back, reciprocate things to you. If they just a taker, you definitely don't need that. You definitely don't need no takers. Everybody in your circle should be reciprocating. All right, so we're talking about the seat of the will, the transmutation, which is mental alchemy, of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower, to be sure. But the reward is worth the effort, and it does require an effort. That's what I was telling you earlier. You got to start the first step is being aware of what's going on. You haven't been aware. That's why I gave you those examples. Reserve your sperm for about a week and then go and get into some activity that usually requires you to concentrate or use some sort of mental energy, and watch how you perform, and start measuring that against times where you have a lot of sex and you orgasm a lot. Start measuring that. You got to start being a scientist and start paying attention. Thank you, Mr. Fix-It. Atlanta Live, great live. Thanks again for pulling over and chopping it up with me in the parking lot a couple of weeks ago. Definitely appreciate you. Oh, man, you know what? Call me again. I'm sorry I get so many phone calls. I forgot about you, brother. But if you call me again, we're gonna chop it up, okay? We're going to chop it up, brother. We're going to chop it up. I didn't mean to ignore you or anything like that. It's just I get so many phone calls, and I'm going in so many different directions. I'm a very busy man. I really am. And that's a blessing in some aspects. That's why I've kind of counseled having consultations, because I'm trying to really concentrate, organize my mind, and organize the things, and do some things for myself. So, start to get into my life a little bit more, because I spend so much time giving so much energy to so many other people. Okay, but anyway. The desire for sexual expression is inborn and natural. The desire cannot and should not be submerged or eliminated, but it should not be allowed to dominate or dictate one's behavior. Sex should not control you. It should be given an extra outlet through forms of expression which enrich the body, mind, and spirit. If not given this form of outlet through the process of transmutation, it will seek outlets through purely physical channels.
So if you don't redirect, that's why you have to have a goal. You have to have something that you are in pursuit of. If not, you're going to always be just running around having sex, impregnating women, and making single mothers. You know, maybe you should be in Islam. You can have, even in Islam, you can have as many women as you want, up to 5 wives. You can have up to many wives. Let me use the word wife. You can have as many wives, up to 5, as you want, as long as you can take care of all 5 of them equally. So if you're going to have multiple women, in my life when I was young, I'm going to tell you straight up, when I was younger, in my 20s, and I was a baller, I had multiple women, but I took care of all of them equally. I did not discriminate between them. If you have 3 women, you should be able to pay for 3 women's rent. Not to say that you would do that, but you should be making enough money. And let me say something. That right there might sound kind of like simpish or something like that, but it's not. And the thing about it is you should be making so much money that don't even matter. It don't even affect you. That should be your goal. That should be your goal. That statement doesn't affect a man that's making $1 million a month, paying 3 women's rent. He's not even thinking about it. This is the level you got that I'm talking from. I'm talking from this level right here. Okay, there's a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. Write that book down. It's called The Magic of Thinking Big. Write it down. Big dreams kill little problems. The reason for that is when you think big, the forces of nature, when they start drawing themselves to you, okay, to bring you that big thing, it's going to naturally take care of little problems. Obviously, on your way to a millionaire, you got to get what? If you want $1 million a month, you got to go through what? $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month. All right, you're going to go through those levels. As you go through those levels, of course, naturally, all your financial problems will start to solve themselves. But you got to make the ideal. You got to make the vision. You got to make the goal big. Don't be afraid to think big. You deserve it. Forgive yourself. This is why in the Bible, in Mark 11:22-27, it tells you that the first thing you have to do is you have anything against anyone, you got to go and seek forgiveness, and that includes yourself. Because as long as you have guilt on your heart, you're going to believe that you don't deserve something. And if you believe you don't deserve something, you can't manifest. Forgiveness is for you, not them. So, if this pent up sexual energy, okay, is going to find an outlet. Right? So you have to root that in your mind. There is no way possible to stop sexual energy. At this point, most of you have been taught to give it an outlet purely through the end of your penis. Now we are aware of the fact that this elixir of life, this sperm, this concentrated blood, because that's what sperm is, concentrated blood is spirit. The spirit is in the blood, okay, which is why I can create another living being. But it doesn't just create beings, it creates other things too. The feminine is the depository for it. The female aspect of things, she has to be impregnated to bring things. You cannot manifest anything without the feminine principle. But the female has to be in her femininity. She can't be running around acting like a man. You can't do nothing with her. You can't do nothing with a woman that's acting like a man. She's going to serve no purpose for you whatsoever. And it is not for you to care about whether or not, what type of trauma she had or anything like that. That's not your problem. That is an issue for her to work out. Because they would do the same to you. They don't care if you got a problem and you acting like a female. Run around crying. They're not going to show you no sympathy whatsoever. As they shouldn't. Because that's not manly. A river may be dammed and its water controlled for a time, but eventually it will force an outlet. The same is true of the emotion of sex. It may be submerged and controlled for a time, but its very nature causes it ever to be seeking a means of expression. If it is not transmuted into some creative force, it will find a less positive, less productive outlet. Fortunate indeed are those individuals who have discovered how to give their sexual emotion an outlet through some form of creative effort, for they have, by that discovery, lifted themselves to the level of genius performance. What are you creating? Everything that I've done to make money has been through creative. You see the videos I make on YouTube, and I just sit down and you don't see nobody else's stuff look like mine. Because I sit down and I use everything that I've learned with Adobe Photoshop and different video editing things over the years. I just sit down in my own room. I don't watch anybody else's stuff, and I just create. I just create. Whatever my mind puts in front of me, I try to bring it, I try to manifest it. I try to give a contribution to the world. What is going to be your legacy? What is your contribution? What type of impression are you leaving in the world? How do you want to be remembered? So we can lift ourselves to the level of a genius. If you just joined us, we're reading Napoleon Hill's chapter 10, Sexual Transmutation. The reason I'm reading this because I saw today on an interview this female calling herself the Queen Mother pastor and talking about, that men, that this sexual transmutation use women as some sort of, I don't know what she was saying. All right, but I'm like, did you read the chapter? That's why I showed y'all that verse in the Bible where it says, give not thy strength unto women. Don't give your sperm to them. It doesn't say don't have sex with them. It doesn't say don't love them. It doesn't say don't give them attention. It doesn't say don't provide for them. That, okay, you should only be giving them your sperm when you want a baby. You have to learn how to control your ejaculation, and trust me, it is possible to do. You can have sex 5 times, and listen, I'm talking from experience. Okay, on this point, I'm talking from experience. You can have as much sex as you want as long as you don't ejaculate. Every man, through his common sense reasoning, should conclude that for himself. If I don't ejaculate, I can have sex all night. Some of you know what I'm talking about because you use some things like liquor or marijuana, some sort of things like that to make you have sex for a long time. All right, but you could do it naturally. Anything that you can, anything that you imbibe artificially, you can do naturally by controlling your mind. Everything is subject to the mind. That's why mentalism is the first principle. It takes practice, but it can be done. If you're a young man out there listening, that should be where I read this book, Think and Grow Rich. I was probably like 21, 22 years old when I first came into possession of this book. It's about 22 years old. I read this book, The Science of Getting Rich, The Master Key by Charles Hannah. Those are 3 books that I read in the beginning. And the reason I read The Master Key by Charles Hannah, because allegedly, with the myth, the urban legend has it that Bill Gates read that book at Harvard University, what caused him to drop out of Harvard and become one of the richest men in the world. And other men also have anything I read, usually almost everybody who's become wealthy, they've either read Think and Grow Rich, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That book had a very big impact on me. Definitely put that on a reading list. That had a major impact on me was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But that was later on. That book came later on. I read a lot of esoteric books. I was heavily into magic and things like that. And once you start studying magic, you're going to see that it's nothing but science. It's the same thing they're talking about in the law of attraction, but it's just a higher level. The law of attraction is an entryway. You really can't get into controlling the forces of nature until you free yourself. That's why the first level in this world of freeing yourself is to free yourself financially. You can prove that by what? Mastering yourself and mastering the law of attraction. That's just level 1. Getting money is just level 1. That's level 1. That's not the end all and be all. That's just going to provide you freedom for other pursuits, the real pursuits. You need freedom. And you can't be free if you're worried about bills. You can't be free if you got to go to work. You can't be free if you got a warrant. You can't be free if you have to go and hustle and look over your shoulder because you're trying to make some money to provide for your children by selling dope or something like that. And you got to look over your shoulder and worry about going to prison for up to 30 years. Okay. Let's keep going. Research has disclosed these two significant facts. Number one, the individual of greatest achievement tend to be those who have highly developed sexual natures and who have learned the art of sex transmutation. That is absolutely true. Maybe that's what she was talking about, women as a muse, because a woman is supposed to be our inspiration. Let me put on camera on me. You're supposed to inspire a man to greatness, not be his competition. You're supposed to inspire a man to greatness. That's why men want beautiful women. You know, if you look at beautiful women, and which I do in a certain way, I do think it is kind of good. You have all these like internet models, like on Instagram. Some of you young men out there, if you use it in the right way, you could, kind of, follow a lot of them and let them be your motivation. But you have to believe that you can obtain a woman like that. If you want a beautiful woman like that, that's the first step. You got to root out this disbelief. You have to have belief in yourself and then start to aspire to these things and have a goal that you're trying to reach, especially if you're in your 20s. You shouldn't be spending your 20s chasing after women. You should be in pursuit of your goals and your dreams. Don't ever give up on your dream. Don't ever give up on your dream. Don't ever give up on your dream. High sex drive. Everybody who's successful has a high sex drive. High sex drive. Generally speaking, those who have accumulated great fortunes and achieved outstanding recognition in literature, art, industry, architecture, and the professions were motivated by the influence of romantic love for another person. That's true. I can even say that with me. I can say that with me. I strived for greatness because there was a woman that was the object of my affection. And I wanted to prove myself. Prove to myself too. Prove it to myself too. But you have to, in my opinion, you have to accept the fact that women want men who can provide them with something. All right? You shouldn't ever be stagnant or complacent. Complacency is the most dangerous thing a man can engage in. It's being satisfied with a little or being complacent or mediocrity. That's why you have to think big. Think big. Don't be afraid to think big. All of you men out there have an object of your desire. There's some woman somewhere that, or some ideal that you have in your mind. Maybe you don't have anything physical, ideal in your mind. But let that inspire you to greatness, because greatness is a masculine. That's what we are. We are the protectors and the providers. We are the protectors and the providers. Women want to be provided for. Do not get mad at them for that. One of the things that I do is I study nature, and one of the things I really like is the lions. The lions. I study lions all the time because I think the lions are a good representation of humanity, because the lions understand what their role is. They protect and provide. And also, if you cannot protect your females from another stronger lion that comes, they're going to come and take your women from you. Nature is ruthless. Another creature that I've been in awe of lately is a Komodo dragon. A Komodo dragon is it's the most ruthless creature I think that's in nature. It swallows animals alive. You can hear, they got videos of animals still screaming while the thing is being swallowed down, going down their throat. They have no mercy. That's what they call a cold-hearted snake. These are reptilians. Reptilians are emotionless. They don't. I do believe that those creatures don't have a soul. Those creatures are. Those are some vicious. But you see that all in nature, where only the strong survive. So if you're looking for pity, that's why I can't subscribe to this victim mindset, because it has no place in nature. When I look out in nature, victims get eaten up. Victims get eaten up. Nothing in nature has pity for someone who has embraced weakness. You don't see it in the ocean. You don't see it in the insect world. You don't see it in the only people that want to talk about victims and weakness is human beings. Who raises the male lions and teaches them how to hunt? Who shows up on the scene and outs the other lion and kills all the babies and makes her have some more babies form? You can't have a female lion. Let me tell you about a female lion. A female lion, some hyenas will come, a group of hyenas, and they will take on a group of female lions. It only take 1 or 2 lions to show up on the scene and shut all that shit down. Shut all of it down. Don't sit here and try to equate a female lion. Of course, the female is the first teacher. All right? That's what, but y'all not doing that. Y'all ain't trying to raise families in a traditional structure. You trying to go out and be men. You are supposed to be training the men. All right, but look what's happening. 80% of our households are being run by women, and look what's happening right now. We got beta males coming on. Why you bashing women for? We got beta male simp manginas. They want to sit down and grovel before a woman. And then turn around and call themselves a god. They won't even call themselves a god. They'll call her a goddess in a minute. Won't call themselves a god. Because they don't understand the principle of polarity. There are 2 sides to everything. They want to worship. That's the worst kind of man. Well, maybe not. I'm not going to say it's the worst kind of man, because you got mortals. You know, I'm talking to the gods right now. Some of these gods ain't gods. All right, they mortals. So a goddess should have her worshipers. And don't mess with her territory. If you see a woman, like, for instance, like, I'll tell you like this. I'll give an example of a goddess I'm always talking about. Who's that Kardashian girl? Not Kim, but her sister, Jenner, or whatever her name is. I forgot her name. All right. I'm watching this chick on Instagram. I forgot how many followers. She got 200 million followers, something like that. She got some of the most followers on planet Earth. I think they one of the top people got followers on planet Earth. And I watch these followers, and she can go in her closet and pick out a dress and start talking about it to her followers. And 3 million people, yes, that's a beautiful dress. Yes, they would. How, in my right mind, could I not say that she's not a goddess? She has 3 million worshipers. That's a goddess. Y'all have watched this show called American Gods, because it goes into what I'm talking about, how social media, how the gods of old, Odin, the Scandinavian gods, Ishtar, all of them, they went to war with the new social media gods. There's a new gods out there, because gods are actually formed by people who have belief in them. A god dies when no one believes in him. Gods only exist as long as someone believes in them. Gods only exist when people believe in them. And there are physical or human and female and male gods. It even says it in your Bible. Let's get back. The emotion of sex is an irresistible force against which there can be no such opposition as an immovable body. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go to the top. The research in which these astounding discoveries were made went back through the pages of biography and history for more than 2,000 years. Wherever there was evidence available in connection with the lives of men and women of great achievement, it indicated most convincingly that they possess highly developed sexual natures. The emotion of sex is an irresistible force against which there can be no such opposition as an immovable body. When driven by this emotion, individuals become gifted with a superpower for action. Understand this truth, and you will catch the significance of the statement that sex transmutation can lift one to genius-level performance. Destroy the sex glands, whether in a human being or a beast, and you have removed a major source of action. What happens when they cut off your balls? Man, what happens? You take a dog and neuter him. What happens when they cut off your balls? That's what they're doing right now. They trying to teach y'all men. Listen to me. They're out there trying to put out these women. These is demons. These are demons. They out there trying to give permission for you to cut off the penis of your little boys. What type of man? Why would you have a child by a woman like that? Why would you have a child by a woman that will encourage your sons to play with dolls and encourage your daughters to join the military? The emotion of sex contains the secret of creative ability. Destroy the sex glands, whether in a human being or a beast, and you have removed a major source of action. For proof of this, observe what happens to any animal after it has been neutered. A bull or a bulldog becomes thoroughly docile after it has been altered sexually. Sex alteration takes out of any male animal the fight that was in him. Sex alteration of the female has the same quieting effect. And this is what they want to do. They want to destroy masculinity. They want to remove all of this. They don't want y'all to be creating. They trying to act like, they started with this word toxic masculinity. It's gays and feminists coined that phrase. How could you ever subscribe to something as abject as the most stupid? That is the most ignorant, stupid thing I've ever heard. How can somebody who's not a man tell you what's toxic? What is this word toxic? That's another new invention. Toxic. They wear that fucking word out. Toxic. It's toxic. I was in a toxic gaslighting. Toxic. They just make up shit. Just making up shit. And then try to ascribe some sort of philosophy to support it. They pull some shit out their ass, and all of a sudden they having talk shows about it. Based off of nothing. If you ask them what principle guides their conversation, they couldn't tell you. But they're expert in relationships and things like that. And you wonder why things are the way they are. Let's look at the things that stimulate the mind, the 10 mind stimuli. The human mind responds to stimuli through which it may be keyed up to high rates of vibration known as enthusiasm, creative imagination, intense desire, and so forth. The 10 stimuli to which the mind responds most freely are, number 1, the desire for sexual expression. Number 2, love. Number 3, a burning desire for fame, power, or financial gain, money. Number 4, music. Number 5, close for friendship between either those of the same sex or those of the opposite sex. Number 6, a mastermind alliance based upon the harmony of 2 or more people who ally themselves for spiritual or temporal advancement. Number 7, mutual suffering, such as that experienced by people who are persecuted. Number 8, autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is you using an affirmation, repeating to yourself over and over and over again. The mind responds to that. The mind responds to repetition. Number 9, fear. And number 10, narcotics and alcohol. These are things that stimulate the mind. The desire for sexual expression comes at the head of the list of stimuli which most effectively set up the vibrations of the mind and thus start the wheels of physical action. Notice we're talking about vibrations. What principle is the principle of vibration? It's the third principle. Sorry about that. I was reading. Wow. It's the third principle, the principle of vibration. The principle of vibration, okay? Notice when you read this, what I want you to do is those 7 principles: mentalism, the mind, think and grow rich, 2 correspondence, as above, so below, all right? Vibratory frequencies change, they correspond. What that means is you can look into a person's condition and you can tell their thoughts by their current state of being, okay? Where are they at? This is why wealthy people will tell you never take advice from a person. You only take advice from somebody who has what you want. You only take advice from someone who has what you want, because they have demonstrated through action that they know how to get it. Why would you, as a single man or woman, listen to marriage advice from another single person? Why would you listen to marriage advice from a person who's not married? Only take advice from someone who, that's why you have mentors. You get a mentor because mentors follow the principle of cause and effect. Do what I do and you'll get what I get. This is what they say. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. That is cause and effect. Cause and effect dictates that if you do the same thing, you'll get the same thing. You want something different, you do something different. If you want your life to change, you have to change your life. You have to be the change that you're seeking. So it could be something as easily as going to work a different way to work. Sitting at a different place, going to a different bar, not going to a bar, picking up a book. Change something. If you don't like the results you are getting and you want something different, you're insane if you think you're going to get something different and you do the same things every day. You have to change your routine. All right, let me read this again. The desire for sexual expression comes at the head of the list of stimuli which most effectively set up the vibrations of the mind and thus start the wheels of physical action. All right, a thought precedes any physical action. And it's a vibratory frequency. Thoughts are vibratory frequencies. Vibration is the third principle of the 7 pillars. 8 of these stimuli are natural and constructive. 2 are destructive. The list is here presented for the purpose of enabling you to make a comparative study of the major sources of mind stimulation. From this study, it will be readily seen that the emotion of sex is, by great odds, the most intense and powerful of all mind stimuli. This comparison is necessary as a foundation for proof of the statement that transmutation of sex energy may lift one to genius-level performance. Let us find out what constitutes a genius. Some wiseacre once said that a genius is someone who wears long hair, eats odd food, lives alone, and serves as a target for comedians. A better, I think he means some wisecrack. I don't know what he meant, wiseacre. Look that up and see if there's a word. A better definition of a genius is an individual who has discovered how to increase mental intensity and concentration to the point where he or she can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available through ordinary levels of thought. Let me read that again. A better definition of a genius is an individual who has discovered how to increase mental intensity and concentration to the point where he or she can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available through ordinary levels of thought. And this is right here is what you have to bring yourself up to the level of angels. See, angel, the word angelus or malakati, like the book of Malachi is the last book of the Bible, means my messenger or means a messenger. Angels are messengers. All right. Cleanliness is close to godliness. When you clean out your temple, see, the level of God or the Akashic records are vibrating at a very high rate of speed. So when you look at these ideas that people come up with, like Uber and Airbnb, and then you're like, man, that was a genius. That was a stroke of genius. There's a movie called A Stroke of Genius, too. It's real good about the guy who made the intermittent wipers. Very good movie. You should watch it. Thank you. I kept another powerful stream. Thank you. 9 to the power of 9. 9 to the power of 9. Thank you. But you got to understand that you have to increase your vibration. This goes into diet, cleaning yourself. And I think the most important thing, even more important than diet, is preserving your sperm. I think that the damage that is done to your creative forces, it trumps the sexual ones, masturbation being the most evil. And I also believe this is why the Jews have been given this title as the most intelligent people, because within their race, it is against their laws to masturbate. So they understand the reason it's against their laws to masturbate, because they understand this information. Well, at the same time, they inundate you with pornography, and you're sitting back in your room with some Vaseline, stroking your Johnson, busting in your hand, and at the same time, you're dumbing yourself down. Doesn't that make sense? Think about it. The person who thinks will want to ask some questions concerning this definition. The first question will be, how can one communicate with sources of knowledge which are not available through the ordinary intensity and concentration of thought? The next question will be, are there known sources of knowledge which are generally available only to geniuses? And if so, what are these sources and exactly how can they be reached? I shall offer proof of the soundness of some of the more important statements made in this book, or at least I shall offer evidence through which you may secure your own proof through experimentation. In doing so, I shall answer both of these questions. Let me tell you something. You got to experiment on yourself. You got to experiment on yourself. You got to start seeing what I'm talking about. Start preserving your sperm. These women try to act like, talking about I'm bashing women. These women sit around and talk about they don't need men to have babies. But that's bashing men. Every time you say you don't need a man, you bashing men. When you don't take accountability, you bashing men. Let's get the likes up. Get the likes up. The Akashic Records. Well, that's true. I agree with that. They do download it, but how do you access the Akashic Records? The Akashic Records is a very fast rate of speed. God is a fast vibration. So the angels, you got to go up and meet the angels. Anyone ever read the 21, the Daniel fast, the 21-day fast? That's supposed to be a water fast, all right, straight water for 21 days. I've done it before, all right? And during that fast, what you're doing is you're praying. This is why Jesus says in the Bible, how do you get rid of these spirits? And he said through fasting and prayer. When you fast, you are increasing your vibratory frequency and you're communing with God at the same time. That's how your prayers get answered. All this is scientific. Frequency, vibration. Genius is developed through, let's talk about the sixth sense. Genius is developed through the sixth sense. The reality of the sixth sense is the reality of a sixth sense in human beings has been well established. The sixth sense is creative imagination. I'll even go further and say we have more than six senses. I'm going to say we have 9 senses. I'm going to say without the taste, touch, smell, hearing, taste, touch, seeing, hearing, and smell, the 5 corporal senses, you have higher senses. Intuition is a sense, the quick realization of truth without any additional intervention of a thought. That's intuition. You have to learn to trust your intuition. That's another thing that's one of the things I think older people have over younger people. That experience, life experiences given us, it has taught us to learn to trust our intuition. That first thought is truth. All the thoughts that come after that usually are trying to make you waver or question the truth. Intuition, clairvoyance. We all have clairvoyance. We all have the ability to see in the future, see in the past. Psychometry, the ability to touch things and feel the vibratory frequency off of it and make a determination, tell things about it. There is a book called Betouted, the Magician. They made a movie off of it. People don't know that. It's called The Illusionist. I want people to read Betouted, the Magician. Let me give you the book I want you to read. I want people to read this book. It's by France Barton. All right. Am I back? I don't know what happened just then, y'all. I got frozen out. I don't know what happened just then, but thank you for staying with me. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Let's get back to it. I ain't went nowhere. They ain't stopping this show today. Ain't nothing stopping this today. Nothing stopping this. This information has to get out to our young men. They got to understand how to go out and manifest the kind of life that they want and be men, to be in their masculine frame. So go again. The genius is developed through the sixth sense. The reality of a sixth sense in human beings has been well established. This sixth sense is creative imagination. The faculty of creative imagination is one which the majority of people never use during an entire lifetime, and if used at all, it usually happens by mere accident. A relatively small number of people use with deliberate purpose and forethought the faculty of creative imagination. Those who use this faculty voluntarily and with understanding of its functions are, by definition, geniuses. The faculty of creative imagination is the direct link between the finite human mind and infinite intelligence. All so-called revelations referred to in the realm of religion and all discoveries of basic or new principles in the field of invention take place through the faculty of creative imagination. When ideas or concepts flash into one's mind through what is popularly called a hunch, they come from one or more of the following four sources: infinite intelligence, one's subconscious mind, wherein is stored every sense, impression, and thought impulse which has ever reached the brain through any of the five regular senses. Okay, now who talked about that? You know who else talked about that? The Scientologists. The Scientologists say that every second of your life is stored. You don't forget anything. You just have to learn how to access it. Every second of your life is recorded. Every second of your life is recorded in the subconscious mind. You just may not be able to access it. They have a really interesting thing that is based off of sound principles. The Scientologists, they do. I don't like the fact that they bug you to death trying to sell you a membership and all this kind of stuff. But when you read L. Ron Hubbard's books, it's in accord with these principles I'm talking about. He doesn't use conscious and subconscious mind. They use the analytical mind and reactive mind. Notice that the labels they gave to the conscious mind: analytical, because it's the seat of the wheel. It analyzes things. And reactive, subconscious. It takes something, whatever it receives, it reacts to. Masculine and feminine. It says, I know this may seem a bit off topic, RS 499, but what is your thoughts on sales? It seems that those who excel at sales have superior spiritual knowledge. They do. All these people, that's what I got into. I got into sales. Look, sales, the best salespeople, the richest people, they use this. They study these books and sales techniques at the same time. They study them at the same time. All these books are directed towards sales. When you read The Master Key by Charles Haanel, that book is directed toward businessmen. All business is sales. If you want to be a good businessman or woman, you have to be good at sales. And sales is rooted in the law of attraction and these basic principles. Thought, you have to be able to visualize. Even athletes use it. You have to visualize your outcome. Maintaining that vision corresponds to what manifests in physical reality, which is a vibratory frequency. There's a polarity associated with anything, so if you don't get the result, you can reverse the polarity and change it into something else. There are two sides to everything. Everything has a rhythm. Everything has a season. There's a cause and effect that gives order. And everything has a masculine and feminine aspect to it. Even Ma'at, what they started off with, she has a polar opposite, a masculine polar opposite. That's exactly correct. So let's get back into this. So it comes from either infinite intelligence, one's subconscious mind, the mind of some other person who has just released the thought or picture of the idea or concept through conscious thoughts. This is another thing why they tell you if a thought comes to you and you don't use it, thoughts are living things. They're called thought forms. Thoughts are living things, and they're seeking physical expression. So when they come to you and you won't give them physical expression, they go to somebody else. That's why you end up saying, man, I had that idea first. Look at thought forms as living creatures. This is another thing why you have to start getting into the esoteric sciences so you can begin to look at reality. Reality is not what you think it is. You letting these Europeans, these people control the world, keep you in a box, keep you in a myopic state of mind. Reality is so much more than whatever you think it is. Life, there's a world so vast out there, bigger than your neighborhood, and you riding up and down the street, going into stores and malls and looking for food and something to eat, and getting into arguments on the internet about who's stronger, women or men, and who's at fault. The other person's subconscious storehouse. You don't let other people control your thoughts. The first, third, and fourth sources above are tapped through some mysterious process or processes, perhaps extrasensory in nature and manifestation, which cannot yet explain and which we do not even dimly comprehend. What we do comprehend is that these sources are tapped every day around the globe, and that there are no other known sources from which inspired ideas or hunches may be received. The creative imagination functions best when the mind is operating or functioning, concentrating, vibrating as a result of some form of mind stimulation at a level of intensity and awareness that is significantly higher than that of ordinary normal thought. This is all concentration. Anything that you concentrate on becomes a force. It becomes a force. You take sunlight and direct it through a magnifying glass, it can burn paper. You take water and concentrate it through a water hose, it becomes a force. Anything that comes down to a narrow point becomes a force. That's why they teach you about this thing. You have to multitask. Multitasking is for slaves. Math who don't think for themselves, who just do multiple things. The thinking man concentrates. Okay, somebody said, if you have a desire, it belongs to you. Creation is finished and you are already, creation is not finished when you have a desire. See, this is what I mean by these women coming in here with their own philosophy. Where did you get that from? Where did you get from that if you have a desire, it belongs to you and creation is finished? Creation is not finished. Creation is not finished. It doesn't serve you if it's in another parallel world. Creation is finished when you bring it down into physical manifestation. Where'd you get that from? They just make up their own stuff. Just make it up. You have to, what principle did you just base that off of? See, this is how you got to start questioning people. What principle? You made a statement. Okay, I just told you about manifestation, vibration, correspondence. That right there violates the law of correspondence. Something in the parallel universe has nothing to do with me. There are an infinite number of parallel universes. What does that have to do with me and my universe? Nothing. Creation is finished when there's manifestation. Their feelings. You watch these shows, that word "they feelings" come out their mouth a million times. Well, I feel that's not right. Well, I feel like that, blah, blah. Well, I feel as though blah, blah, blah. I feel that blah, blah, blah. Just feeling. And then they get mad at you because you don't think like that. So they say you lack emotional intelligence. You're looking at them like, because logic and reason runs the world. What they want emotions to run the world. That's why if you look at all the TV show, and now the men who run Hollywood, they understand that can't happen. So they give that to the goyim. All right, so and your TV shows, all the shows now are emotional. You don't have no more action heroes. You know, what happened to the action hero like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rambo, all that's gone. Now you got emotional, whimsy type men playing lead roles and things like that. They don't want that masculinity. They want y'all to be emotional like them. They want you to be bitches. They trying to punk you out. That's what I'm just tripping. Like, man, you don't see these people punking you out, man. You getting punked, man. That's why I'm so incensed about the whole thing. How can you be a man and not see they trying to punk you, man? You're being punked. Don't let nobody punk you. I don't care what aggressive, masculine acting, man-hating woman comes on the internet. Shut her down. Trying to punk you out. Acting like a man. Wearing sweats and a ball cap. Put on a dress. You know what? One thing about it, when women dress, when you dress a certain way, it makes you act a certain way. That's why it tells you in the Bible, do not wear clothing that is meant for a man. And men shouldn't wear clothing that is meant for a woman. Where does that say that? Let me put that in there. These people call themselves preachers and everything. They call themselves preachers. They're a preacher. Prophetess. Deuteronomy 2:2. I just pulled it up right here. What does it say? It says, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. Now, when you see in Hollywood, these Jews that run Hollywood, they follow the 613 laws of the Torah. You a heathen because you don't read this and you don't know, and they make you put on a dress in Hollywood. Okay, to make you a slave. That's why they do these things to you. That's why they make you put on dresses. That's why they make you bend over and let you screw yourself in there, that you have to have some type of homosexual relations, because they're reducing you down to the level of a slave. You're violating the laws of the creator of the boundless universe, and they can make you under Leviticus 25:45, they can make heathen slaves. That's what it's all about. Y'all don't get it, though. Y'all think this is some kind of joke. Y'all really think this is a joke. Y'all really think this is a joke. You think this is a joke. What time is it? It's 12:20. Let me keep going. The creative imagination functions best when the mind is operating or functioning, concentrating, vibrating as a result of some form of mind stimulation at a level of intensity and awareness that is significantly higher than that of ordinary normal thought. When brain action has been stimulated through one or more of the 10 mind stimulants, it has the effect of lifting a person far above the horizon of ordinary thought and permitting that individual to envision distance, scope, quality, and character of thoughts that are not available on lower planes, such as the ones where a person is engaged in the solution of the everyday problems of business and professional routine. When lifted to this higher level of thought, through any form of mind stimulation, an individual occupies, relatively speaking, the same position as one who has ascended in an airplane to a height from which may be seen objects beyond the horizon line that limits one's vision while on the ground. Moreover, while on this higher level of thought, the individual is not hampered or bound by any of the stimuli which circumscribe and limit one's vision while wrestling with the problems of gaining the three basic necessities of food, clothing, and shelter. The individual is in a world of thought in which ordinary workaday thoughts have been is effectively removed, as are the hills and valleys and the other limitations of physical vision when that person rises in the airplane. And this is something else that a woman is supposed to do. A woman is supposed to take the everyday cares of a man away so he can concentrate on protecting and providing from the household. When in my household, when I was married to my wife, I didn't ever look at bills. To this day, I don't know who the mortgage company was. I don't know who the utility company was. I don't know who the gas company was. I don't know who the water company was. I don't know who the internet, none of that. I didn't know what any of that was because all I did was give her a stack of money and told her to pay it. I don't have time to think about that. My mind needs to be free to create money and things like this to go out and conquer the world. I do not need to be worried about the bills. That should be the last thing on your mind. You don't worry about bills. Worry is the greatest waste of energy, mental energy that there is, worrying. You have to conquer this world, and that's in the Bible. Why are you worried about tomorrow? The woman is the master of the household. You know, she runs the household. My thing is to bring provisions into the household. I don't have time to think about that. I got things out here. I got to think how I'm going to make this next $10,000, this next $100,000. I got to be focused on that. You think I need to be somewhere on the phone with customer service trying to talk about a fucking bill? And she shouldn't be worried about a bill because she should be feeling good because you handed her a stack of money. Or whatever, a credit card or whatever. She needs to have confidence that everything is going to be taken care of and everything is going to be all right. The bills are going to be taken care of. You never have to worry about a bill. Okay, I mean, I know you watched me for years, but that don't mean I'm going to check you when you're wrong. I'm going to ask you a question. Where did you get that from? You know, I understand what you're saying, but you say, you know, what does that have to do with you? What does that have to, you talking about a parallel universe and things like that? I mean, what does that have to do? What I'm interested in is me, my life. Manifesting things. I got a life to live here, not in a parallel universe. I understand what you're saying when you have a thought. Okay, but he just told you a thought will leave you. You have an intense desire is requisite in manifestation. It is. I just got me a new Hellcat because I had an intense desire for it. I woke up, let me tell you, I got my new car. I woke up, they didn't deliver my car. You know, my car got stolen. My silver car got stolen, my silver Hellcat got stolen. I was in Dallas 3 days. Somebody stole the car. All right. The picture of my grandfather was in the back, was in the trunk. When the detectives called me about the car, I said, look, the only thing I'm worried about in that car, I want out of that car, is I had a family heirloom in there, is a picture that's been in my family for generations of my grandfather. It was in the trunk of the car when they stole the car. I came home day before yesterday. There was a box waiting in front of my door that they had sent me UPS. They found the person who stole the car. The picture was still in the back trunk, and he sent me the picture. I got it in there right now. I'm going to go and take it and reframe it. I'm taking it in my professional framer in Atlanta and have it frame it up for me. Going to spend some money on the frame. As you can see, I put money in my frames. This picture right here probably costs about 20, 30 bucks, the my art picture, and the frame costs probably about $1,500. That's how much I respect my art. And these 42, this was a badass poster, all right? But I wanted to put a nice frame on it. You should invest in artwork too. But anyway, I got the picture back. So the insurance money, they paid out, everything was paid off. I didn't have any bills, no car notes. Truck paid, car paid, everything's paid off. And I was sitting here thinking, you know, maybe I should just chill out. You know, I don't have no bills or anything like that focus on investing, doing things like that. And I remember in the book, The Science of Getting Rich, where there was this thing, and I watched a gentleman on YouTube talk about this too. And it was saying that, you know, it's people who like save money and you doing this with money and things like that, which is not good, by the way. Go back and read in the Bible about the story of the 3 talents. And there was this illustration of a gentleman who was going to buy a coat, but he had to pay a bill. He only had $500. And he had to make a decision of whether to spend the money on the bill or to buy the coat. He decided to buy the coat and ended up making thousands of dollars, a whole bunch of money. The reason for that is that the coat gave him a good feeling that fueled his goal to reach his goal. And that's something that you always have to remember. A lot of people say, well, this is expensive, that is expensive. And I like what Grant Cardone, I heard him say this, it was very good. He said, you don't have a spending problem, you have an income problem. You need to concentrate on making more money, not saving more money. The universe is constantly expanding. You need to be constantly expanding with it. You're either growing or dying. You never remain the same. You're either growing or dying. You never remain the same. You might as well make the decision to grow. I heard another man say, you want to make $1 million, go buy $1 million house and force yourself to have to pay for it. Complacency is a death sentence. Sometimes I just have to put things in my life just to spur me into action. Sometimes. I'm about to open up a studio in Atlanta too. I'm going to be having meetings there. Let's get back. While on this exalted plane of thought, the creative faculty of the mind is given freedom for action. The way has been cleared for the sixth sense to function. It becomes receptive to ideas which could not reach the individual under any other circumstance. The sixth sense is a defining faculty which marks the difference between a genius and an ordinary individual. I'm going to stop right there because I think I've hammered my point home. I didn't mean to offend anybody in the chat room. I'm not mad at anyone. But at the same time, you know, I have a job to do. My job is primarily to be an advocate for privacy. I'm a privacy advocate. I'm an advocate for masculinity, because we have to be able to defend private property, okay? And your private property rights are under attack. And, you know, and it's coming from these different avenues: feminism, LGBTQ, attack on masculinity, talking about toxic masculinity, them trying to identify you as a woman, trying to encourage men to identify themselves, your children. It's an attack on your children. And it's going to be a long-term attack. They know that it's not going to be instantaneous. They're going to keep on pounding you with that, because they know the repetition, and your children keep hearing that and watching that on television and things like that. They don't let their children watch television. They'll let their children watch any of the things that they're doing because they know what they're doing. They're not going to subject their children to that. Why are you subjecting your children to that? Why are you leaving your children in? You know, none of my children have ever spent a day in a daycare. None of my children have ever spent a day in a daycare. That was my wife's. I understood when I had children. That was my wife's. Now, I had a live-in nanny. I did have a live-in nanny, but that was my wife's primary function while my children are young. I'm not turning my children over to somebody, some stranger or something like that. I don't know. And so on top of that, I need to make sure that she had a comfortable environment where she could do that activity. A nice home, comfortable, don't worry about no bills, plenty of food and provisions in the household. Thank you. Thank you. People know the cost of everything, but the value of nothing. That's true. And the cost of everything. You know, the price of something is relative. It's relative. You got to train your mind to think of something as inexpensive. A $100,000 car is nothing to a multimillionaire. It's relative. That's not a lot. That's cheap. Okay? They look at me and like, well, why do you need it? Why do you get a Ghost? Why do you get a Ferrari? All right? You know, people on that level where, you know, Ferrari, you know, I'm not buying a Dodge. I'm not buying a fucking Dodge. You know, what are you talking about? I'm going to get a Ferrari. I'm going to get a, you know, a 2.5 million, you know, Austin Martin. And what's a $2.5 million car? You know, just whatever. You know what I'm saying. It's relative. That relative is a thought process. You have to train your brain to think of something as inexpensive as opposed to a lot. You got to take out of your vocabulary, I cannot afford that. That should not be in your vocabulary at all. Don't ever say that. That's a dangerous word to say. Don't teach your children that word. Don't teach them that word. Don't teach them anything like that. A better positive way of thinking would be to be, let me see how I can afford that. Let me see how I can obtain that. Let me try to see a creative way I can obtain that. And allow yourself time to it. Do the procedures and do it. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised that things manifest. Desire is the first stepping stone. You have to have an intense desire for something. And then you have to be able to maintain that thought over an extended time period, which is why they tell you to write down your goals or create an affirmation that you say every morning when you wake. Every minute of every day, millions of dollars flows to me now, instantly, effortlessly, naturally now. Every minute of every day, millions of dollars flows to me now, instantly, effortlessly, naturally now. Then after 6 months, you change it. Every minute of every day, $2.5 million flows to me now, instantly, effortlessly, naturally now. You have to do this over an extended amount of time. Anytime I've manifested something big and expensive, it always took me about 6 months. About 6 months. But I have to be on it every day. It's a laborious activity. That's why a lot of you don't have things, is because you don't want to put in the work. The mental work. Mental work is the most laborious activity that you can engage in. That's why the people who think of things get paid the most money. The more you use your mind, the more money you use. The more you use your body, the less money you use. All right, y'all. Thank you, Mr. Fix-It. People, thank you. I want to thank everybody who has donated to the chat. I know I didn't do tonight what you wanted. I put the title of it up. You should have known what I was going to talk about. I didn't talk about discharging debt, but I'll be back on that tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I just wanted to come tonight and do this live and talk about this subject right here because I think it needs to be talked about. Our men, you know, they need to get rid of this poverty mentality of thinking that you can obtain something for nothing. When I started discharge, it was to get rid of a criminal case. You know, I was on criminal cases. That's what I was primarily on because that's what affected our community. You know, they passed these laws and then they disenfranchise our youth. You know, I remember one time in jail, I was helping this young man and he was walking in a white neighborhood and all he had was a screwdriver and a glove in his pocket. Now, he may very well have been trying to do something illegal. However, the police came, pulled him over. They didn't arrest him. They just asked him to come down, jump in the squad car and go downtown with him. Took him downtown and arrested him. That's why you never go downtown. You never, ever, ever go downtown if they request you to come downtown. If they want you to come downtown, you tell them to produce a warrant. I will not be coming into your jurisdiction. But I read his warrant, and everything he said was true. And he was 16 years old. Now he has a felony at 16 years old. And there are a lot of things. He can't have a gun. He can't, you know, work certain jobs or anything like that. They have tried to allocate him to a life where he is perpetually going back in and out of the system. That is what I was concerned with. Trying to stop that. CPS is another problem. Child Protective Services, they are a problem that needs to be addressed. They're a major problem. Divorce is a major problem. That's destroying the family because that is what is causing these young men to grow up in single family homes and becoming destructive, destroying their lives. So we got a lot of things to talk about other than just discharging debt or how to get my status changed. I know you don't come over here for some of those things, but everything that I talk about, that's a part of all of it. That's a part of all of it. At the end of the day, I'm trying to teach people how to be free and live in peace and harmony with their fellow man. That's the object of the game. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. Let's see what they got in here. I've labored. Let me read some of these chats. Thank you, Albert Taylor. I've labored to know this universe, and I'm very grateful for the results. It was worth my labor tenfold. Yes. I love the talk. Thank you. You're welcome. In less than 2 hours from downtown Dallas. All I see is an ocean of ignorance. Where's the link for the seminar in Dallas? It's on, you'll see it right on the SPC University homepage. Let's go right to SPC University home. Let me see if let me show y'all. Let me see if I can pull it up. Show y'all real quick. Let me see. It's gonna log me in. All right. So right here you see the website. So down here, Dallas seminar registration. Register right here. Register. It's gonna take you to this page right here. Join us in Dallas, Texas, and immerse yourself in an environment with like-minded people as you acquire some of the most valuable information you can learn in your life. 16 days, 3 hours, and 21 minutes from now, this is a seminar you do not want to miss. You can also register. We have rooms reserved at the Crown Plaza Hotel. There's a club right next door to the hotel, too. So if you want to come to Dallas and, you know, hey, at night it's going to be interesting. You're in my home city. I'm going to get down in my home city. And I'm going to hang out with y'all in my home city, too. Y'all come down. Check me out. All right. Make sure you join this seminar. The $3.99 covers you and your wife. Y'all come on. Come you and your wife. If you're married. If you're not, it doesn't cover it. So if you want to pretend, bring a woman. Anyway, hopefully you're married. I'm trying to encourage y'all to be married and have, you know, bring your wives and bring your family out and things like that. Anyway, I love you, men. I will lift you up when and wherever I can, my man, and you all have my support. Lead the way. Okay. Did you put the link or send emails for SPC University classes yet? I want to make sure I don't miss it. I didn't send any emails. It will be on the site when you log in. Powerful stuff. You're welcome. How did I get so knowledgeable? I read every day. I wish I could show you my bookshelf that's right behind this camera right here. I got books. I got so many books I got to read. All these books on my bookshelf that I got right here, right now, is books I have to read. And I want time to read them. So let's get these investments rolling. Anyway. Peace to the gods and goddesses. I will catch y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for